And on Spaces, 8:05 p.m. Eastern, 5:05 p.m. Pacific. We've already got, Chris, man, you are already here. I love it. George is here. We are rocking and rolling.
Tonight.
I am good, buddy. How are you, my friend? How are you?
Good. It's been a wild day. I literally, me and Kevin and Paula were doing my show, and all of a sudden, when news breaks, Sabu was dead. We're like, oh.
I know. Like, geez. I mean, it's one of those things that's not surprising, but it still sucks, George, what's going on, buddy?
Just finished eating, showered, shaved, good to go.
Ready to party, ready to go. All right.
Ready for nothing, actually, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is, I figured we can obviously talk Backlash, but I mean, that is.
I'm gonna have a lead up question for Chris before we get started.
Sure. No, you get
topics.
Yeah, I always like George kind of steers the ship, kind of points us where to go and just sets us off. I like it.
All right. Anything you want, George. I was just telling Jake, me and Apollo did a show today, and all of a sudden, midway through a show, like news breaks, Sabu dead. Like, ooh, gotta talk about that. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
For sure. Yeah.
First of all, Chris, thank you for doing the show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
No, thank you guys for having me. I always appreciate being on a good show. So you guys do great work, and I'm honored to be on.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
So my first question is, before I heard you on PWT, I honestly had no idea who you were. So can you give us like a little background on what the Last Call podcast is, how it all got started, what it is now? A little history lesson for us, please.
Yeah, sure. So I started off I wanted to get into podcasting, and I've been doing this now for 20 plus years. And
wow.
First, you go like, okay, where can I go? And it's like, look around, try to interview people, and you go through like, Red Sox, Celtics, everything here in Boston. It's like, but nobody was, cared about anybody from the web or internet radio. So like, just go pound sand. So I started first, talking sports events, started reaching out to fighters, boxers. They found out very quickly, hey, you guys want to do it? Yeah, sure, we'll do it. And yeah, for 20, I was, even with Cyberstation then folded, I still decided, all right, well, I still like interviewing people. I put it on my show, and after bouncing around from just doing like YouTube stuff, now I have my own site, which Last Call Podcast now, which has been going on for 3 or 4 years, and just so I like doing, just interviewing people and letting them tell their story and not just stepping over people's toes.
So how'd you make the transition from MMA over to wrestling?
I just do this for fun because I've enjoyed wrestling. I like interviewing, just interviewing people like Phil Marks of Pro Wrestling Times. Duke loves wrestling. I've always been a wrestling fan. I grew up in WWE, and I got into, I was old enough where ECW, I remembered with Benoit, Taz, Sabu, and then later on with the Dudleys, and then finally with Steve Corino and Dusty Rhodes. Jeez, I'm getting old now. I realize that. But, I do that. It's tough because you try to get people. And it's easier in MMA and boxing because they're independent contractors.
Right.
So it's easier to just reach out to people on Twitter or Instagram, Facebook. It's getting tougher to do that with pro wrestling because you almost have to go through WWE directly or AEW directly or even TNA directly. And the schedule doesn't allow me. I mean, I work a full-time job besides this, so I can't just go, 2:00 conference call? Sure. It's like, I got to bounce around my other job. So
11:30 on a Wednesday, you might have something to do. Right. Yeah.
Those are my main questions to start off before we hit specific topics.
No, I mean, it makes sense too. If like you said, you're from Boston with that Northeast connection. It feels like that. That's when we were talking to Kevin last week. If people really, it's much more prevalent up there because I grew here up in the Southwest where there was some wrestling for me when I was growing up, but I mean, there just wasn't as much for me to get into. And I would spend I'm from Arizona, but my parents are both from, my dad's from Massachusetts and my mom's from New Jersey. So I would spend like 6 to 8 weeks every summer back east. And like, that's when I would see wrestling. It was usually WWF back then, but I feel like that area kind of gets you hooked into it more. So that's cool. That's cool to hear. I didn't realize you've been doing it for 20 years though. That's awesome, dude.
Speaking of growing up, so my first wrestling show, Bo, was not a WWE event. It wasn't a WCW event. It was an ECW. It was right down in Waltham in, one of the, not the bingo halls, but
Like a rec
the
center?
hall, right? Yeah, right on Main Street. And I remembered it was the Eliminators versus PG-13. You had Taz versus Bam Bam
Wow.
Bigelow. I got to meet Bam Bam Bigelow. I just walked up and started, after the show, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I remember he was the nicest person you could ever imagine. You just sat there and like, holy crap. I mean, it shows how much things have changed. Because I remember even once going to right in college, a show on WWE. It was right when the Radicals debuted. And I
Okay.
remember that was when Eddie Guerrero got injured. He had the cast, and
Right.
I showed up. Hey, well, do you interview? All right, here, just wait there. And lo and behold, I got to meet Eddie Guerrero, and there's another guy who just incredibly, low key, very nice. Gave me the time. Which, remember, this is before social media, so he could just tell me, "Hey, go pound sand. Who the hell are you? Why are you in this locker room? Go after yourself." And that's what I've liked about fighters who I deal with, and even sometimes with wrestlers. Like, when they treat their peers well, that's great. But everybody knows it's going to get back to them. When they treat people that they don't know, who they're never going to meet again, they're never going to interact, and they still show you kindness and decency, that says a lot to me about the character.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. It's funny. I met Santino Marella and Armando Estrada around WrestleMania 26 weekend, and yeah,
Holy
same
crap.
kind of situation. Yeah, well, Armando owned a little restaurant in like the outskirts of Phoenix in Glendale, and we went there because we heard he was going to be there, like slinging out sandwiches or whatever. And then Santino was there too, but it wasn't like an advertised thing. It was just like something they were doing because there wasn't that many people there. And same kind of thing. They didn't have to be nice to us. Santino sat down with me and my buddy and like talked to us for like 20 minutes. He was the nicest guy. And those moments are really, really cool. And I think that's one of the things in this industry that, obviously there are a lot of carnies and, shitty people or whatever, but, genuinely there are a lot of good people that want to connect and talk about this world. I mean, that was one of the things Kevin was saying last week on this show, is how, even if you don't connect on like sports or politics or whatever, there's still a kinship and a brotherhood for this world. And that's one of the cool things about wrestling. And I feel like that's the IWC consistently tries to ruin that, whether it's with just trying to argue or be tribalist and stuff, or even like with spaces, how you have people, it's usually just a yelling fest, everybody screaming at each other. Like, we all like this thing. We can enjoy it together. It's not that bad, guys.
So, Chris, who's your favorite interview and why would it be your favorite?
Oh, that's tough. I've had so many over the years.
Like, that's a good question.
I was sitting there like, I can give you a couple off the top of my head who I've enjoyed. The most famous person was Don King. I remember interviewing him, terrified out of my mind, because I'm sitting there like, holy crap. It's Don King. This guy legally killed somebody. And you're sitting there like, and he's a big guy. You don't realize that until you meet him. And then it's like, holy crap, this is. He is as bombastic as they come. He understands how to control the media. He has slowed down since I interviewed him. I interviewed back in 2006. I mean, as I said, that was 19 years ago.
It's a while ago.
Contemporaries, Deontay Wilder was always a trip, because you could just literally put a microphone in front and go, so Deontay, and he would go off. He'd go on a tangent. He'd have this little, and I remember interviewing him back when he first started doing his pro career. So he was like 18-0, 19-0, fighting guys who were not that big. And as I said, he was always a character. Those are the best kind. I was sitting there like, holy crap, I've even branched out to actors and actresses. So I had to the late Robert Stevenson on once, because he was doing Black Sails, reached out, blah, blah, blah. Hey, let's get somebody for the Black Sails. Hey, you want to interview Robert Stevenson? Sure.
Right.
And it's, as I said, some of these actors, you get to talk to them, not the big names, but some of my big names, you've had to go through it, and off the top of my head, like Sterling K. Brown. I've had him on the show. I've had Michelle Watterson, one of the biggest sweethearts. I used to interview Ronda Rousey when she was in the Strikeforce. So again, there's just so many people. If I said,
That's
my
really
favorite,
cool.
I couldn't tell you.
It's tough to do.
But that's an eclectic mix. I mean, Don King that's incredible. And then when you talk about his size, I mean, they had Ving Rhames play him in the HBO movie. So it makes sense that he's a big, and then I can just imagine like, that's kind of like the dark side of the ring guys talk about how when they're in those moments of interviews, like, am I being played? Like, is this guy Carney? I could see that just being why you'd be intimidated and that being a hell of an experience. But it's also one of those things where like, once you interview him, you're like, shit, I can interview anybody.
I will tell you a story, though, that flattered me. I interviewed, I don't know if people know him. His name is Naveed Nagaban. He was on Aladdin. He was also in the show Legion, Homeland Mistress, formerly from Persia. Is now, a very accomplished actor in Hollywood. He did 12 Strong. He's done American Sniper. And he was talking about just what he was going through. And he talked about, hey, look, I used to have to, get changed in my car. I'd go to audition, and I'd hang my nice shirt, hang my nice pants, and literally, right before I just changed everything. And then he would tell the stories of like how his face, he did Aladdin. People got very upset with him about it because at the time people, this is still 2019, but he's like, oh, why are you doing this? Isn't it culture appropriate? And they're blah, blah, blah. He's like, he told a story about, I got to take my kids to set. I can't take them when I'm doing American Assassin. I can't take them when I'm doing most of my stuff because I am playing a terrorist. I am playing, a warlord. I'm playing, very deep characters. And yet, I got to take them Aladdin. It was just, you forget these people have lives. So when they tell the story, like, hey, I got to take my kids to work. They got to see princesses. They got to see me, act, and I have to get, turn around because, I'm killing somebody. Or, I'm doing this. That struck because it's just, you realize sometimes what they go through, how they have to sacrifice a lot. Like he talked about going from Iran to Germany, having to learn several languages, having to hustle, do a lot of things. And so that's why I like when I interview people. It's you tell their story. You let them explain, hey, this is what I've had to go through. This is what I've had to, take, bad roles, crappy roles, hustle. And it's the journey, which I like, because we keep focusing on the now with a lot of guests. Even pro wrestlers, we focus on, what's your favorite match? What's your favorite this? And blah, blah, blah. It's like, how did they get to here?
Right.
We forget that part. Like, they weren't, like Seth Rollins, not always Seth Rollins. He was, in Ring of Honor, Seth Black. He was a guy who was wrestling in Iowa for like probably $100 a night, maybe if lucky. And how do you get to that point? What do you have to give up? Is it worth it for you? Are you willing to sacrifice a lot, which we think, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, or even like with Joe Hendry's story, everybody looks at what he's doing now, but like how long has he been doing work like this? How many, if you go on his like YouTube, you can see all of the matches where he's done like parody songs for like 50 wrestlers that people know. He's a 10 to 15 year overnight sensation. It's one of those things. It's not so much, it's a cliche, but it's true. It's not always about the destination. It's the journey. And that's where the stories really are. So that's a cool way of going about it. And probably leads to much better and at least more unique and interesting interviews than the typical, who's your favorite person that you've worked with and who's the favorite this and who's the easy, that same kind of, those, especially with like movie folks, they usually get to ask the same questions over and over. And I looked up Naveed. I totally do recognize him from different things the moment I looked at his face. I'm terrible with names, but I recognize
him.
I'm going to ask a question that's kind of out of my ballpark, but I think you might help me. The UFC's current pay-per-view thing they got going on, is that going to be a thing of the past soon? Because like I have ESPN Plus, and then I got to pay $89 to watch UFC, which I don't because that's too expensive.
Yeah.
Is that going to be something they get away from?
I have no idea because this.
What do you think though?
This is the problem. I don't know what to think because it's Dana White runs the show. Yeah. And Dana White has always loved going, hey, it's pay-per-views. It's because he's from that traditional model, and
right.
He has what Vince McMahon had, the deal where they leave him alone, they don't get involved, they let him do his thing, and damn with torpedoes, he's going to do what he wants. Now we'll find out. I mean, if Netflix goes and gives him the boatload deal of, hey, we'll give you $6 billion, we don't want pay-per-views, we're just going to have everything on Netflix. Does Ari step in and go, yeah, we're getting rid of pay-per-views, or? I mean, I don't know, because I keep thinking, okay, Dana's eventually going to get let go. He eventually is going to do something, and yet he's been Teflon. He is the star of the UFC. Everybody is come and gone, but the UFC branded Dana White, they are just almost there. And there is no sex scandal that you're worried about. There is no mistress right now, but we know with Dana, it's just he's
a powder keg.
Yeah, a powder keg. But hey, when you're good friends with the president right now, hey, you can do whatever the hell you want. It seems like for UFC.
I mean, he literally. I mean, he slapped his wife on camera and film, and he's still where he is. Yeah, no, he's Teflon's the way to put it with him for sure. It is interesting though, because I feel like. I mean, it seems like the Netflix move would make the most sense business-wise for TKO, but it'll be interesting. When is that deal up? When is their deal with the ESPN up?
It is up at the end of this year. So right now they've been in the exclusive negotiating stages, and they've said, hey, look, we don't want to just go with ESPN.
Right.
We want everybody in this. So
we want to be a free agent. Yeah. We want to be courted, of course.
Yeah, because even if I want to catch something, I'm not dropping $90.
No.
That's, come on.
Yeah, man. Especially if you already are paying for ESPN Plus and then you have to pay for that on top of it. That's asking a lot out of people.
Or at least give me something a little reduced. Something. Help me out.
Right.
Yeah, that's just tough for me. It's the same thing with AEW. It's the same thing they do.
Yeah, and
charging me $50. Why am I dropping $50 for? It's just a tough model to keep with it nowadays.
Yeah, especially with everybody trying to go cheaper with that, whether they're cutting the cord or going through the internet or however they're doing it. It'll be interesting what Netflix does, because I know the WWE PLE Peacock deal ends at WrestleMania 42. So if the ESPN and UFC deal ends at the end of this year, then the other one ends in, what is that, like April of next year. That'll be, Netflix got the money, so it's not a big deal. It's just going to be interesting. I mean, even if UFC decides to stay with ESPN, they've got to play the market and go be a free agent and, come back and get the most bang for their buck, especially with, Ari and Dana at the helm. They'll get a hell of a deal wherever it comes from.
Since you mentioned PLE, Chris, what'd you think about last night's Backlash?
Right, that's a good way to.
All right, so yeah, we talked about it on my show, the Last Call Podcast YouTube channel. I loved the first 3 matches, then started getting a little bit sick with Gunther and Pat McAfee, and then the ending. I liked the match.
Why? Why didn't you like that match? I want to hear reasons.
After everything we saw with the WWE releases, I have been championing, okay, you got to get people involved. You got to start using Karrion Kross. You got to start using Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. You got to start using Kaiser. There are people who've been begging for spots, get us on TV. We'll do anything. We'll get us on TV. And instead, you're giving it to Pat McAfee. And I get, look, because Kevin Apollo. He's like, hey, McAfee was trained by Rip Rogers, which is basically like getting trained by Freddie Roach and the equivalent of pro wrestling. He knows his stuff and everything, but again, it's friggin' Pat McAfee. What is the payoff? It's what McAfee looks sort of semi-tough, which, okay, that's great. We don't really care about that for announcers. It's Gunther, basically got, a epic beatdown of Pat McAfee, which, okay, how does that help? I don't know. It's like, what was the purpose of it? I would have rather seen, Kaiser get put in that spot, or Cross,
maybe,
or
perhaps,
Rusev.
Yeah, there you go.
Somebody.
Perhaps McAfee gets a stable under him, and he's just like a manager / announcer.
I've wanted that. I've pushed for that, but I know that.
Oh, okay.
But Kevin Apollo's and I know awful say no, you can't do that, because it's like with Paul Heyman. You can't just put anybody with Pat McAfee. So I guess they got to figure something out, because McAfee to me is a horrible announcer, but he loves pro wrestling. He's actually trained it. If you made him like the new Bobby Heenan, because outside of Paul Heyman, there's no managers. There's nobody
Right.
to help get these guys over. They got to do something because it's almost like a waste. You're wasting him on the commentary table, and you could easily just, move somebody up in there, Corey Graves, and just put in, McAfee as a manager wrestler, and then help guys who need that extra push, whether it's the Creeds, whether it's, Austin Theory, whether it's Rusev, somebody who can help, like, hey, gotta give these guys bigger attention because you don't want to waste McAfee on, like, jobbers.
Yeah, and I mean, with how popular McAfee is to the mainstream, I mean, you've got to have him involved if he wants to be, because you've got that amazing connection with it. I honestly hadn't really thought of him doing like management and that, because he can take the bumps. He's a great talker, obviously. So that would be and then when you got to write him off for football or whatever, just, have somebody give him a giant slam, and then he shows up in a neck brace for the first 2 weeks of, College Game Day or whatever. That'd be great.
All right. Now, what about the matches after that, Chris?
I was, as I told Kevin Apollo, this was almost as bad as WrestleMania. It was getting up there. There was no Travis Scott, but I have no problem with the outcome. I don't think, as I said, as much as my heart wants Randy Orton to beat John Cena, I know the best thing for everything is SummerSlam or Survivor Series it ends and Cody Rhodes gets his belt again. I have no problem with the pacing of the match. I mean, it's a 46-year-old and a 48-year-old. You're asking for him to start bumping like crazy. That's just unreal. And I have no problem with one ref bump. It's in a second ref bump. And then everybody comes out.
This is going to sound familiar, Chris.
And then it's like, then basically, Randy RKO owes everybody. Yeah, wait a minute. Has the RKO over Phil Marks? No, he hasn't RKO over Phil Marks. Has the RKO over San Diego Chicken? Nope, hasn't RKO over San Diego Chicken yet. And then of all friggin' people, goddamn R-Truth. Oh, that just really pissed me off. It's like, I didn't like comedy guys. Keep them away from the main event. They are comedy. They shouldn't be involved in the main event. And there is R-Truth. Again, just like protecting John Cena. And now we're getting, get ready for this. We're getting R-Truth versus John Cena Saturday night main event for the world title. I sat there and like, this is, why not just Travis Scott? Just put Travis Scott in there. I mean, we're getting to the point now where I'm just getting pissed. Like, F this really. I mean, even Kevin Paul's like, holy crap, Chris, you have no soul. You have no funny bone. Like, damn right.
I'm like, I guess I was wrong, George. I thought the one thing everybody agreed on was we love R-Truth. We want R-Truth. Not everybody. I'm just kidding.
All right.
But would you want, this is for you here, Jake, would you want Santino Marella in the world title picture? Would you want Danhausen in the world title picture? Would you want, even like
match at Saturday night's main event? I hadn't heard that. I just thought that Cena Cena put him through the table just to like solidify the heel even more, that he was, and maybe have a match on Raw if it gets to there. But I feel like Truth is still going to be like, nah, baby, I love you. It's still cool. Like even though he put him through a table, but we'll see what happens tomorrow on Raw. But I don't know. I don't need it to be a match. No, I just like the idea of Cena really solidifying that he's a heel by attacking R-Truth, because that's the one person that, no matter who people are, everybody at least loves R-Truth.
I get it. People love R-Truth. It's just, again, a comedy act. And again, after all these releases, you had, 17 people get released because, creative can't find anything for them. But it's always, R-Truth, they can find anything for R-Truth. It's like, God damn it. Really? We have to find something for 53-year-old R-Truth, but hey, Shayna Baszler, nope, we have nothing for you. No. Hey, Eddie Thorpe, can't find anything for you, but goddamn R-Truth. I know, Jake's
fair.
like,
oh
my God, you probably hate Santa Claus. Like, no, Santa Claus isn't a joke. R-Truth is.
Yeah, I'll respectfully disagree. I don't mind R-Truth. Like, I get it. And like, I don't mind Jey Uso. I get it. I might not like it, but I understand it. My big thing with that whole main event match was the ref bump that took about, we told on our show today, we discussed it. there's got to be some consistency to the ref bump thing. I don't need to see a ref laying there for 15 minutes like he's dead.
Yeah.
And nobody in the back can react to it. I mean, it just makes no sense to me, but that's my...
Especially when you're going to send everybody out minutes later.
I'd like to see some consistency on the ref bumps, Chris. How about yourself?
I would have liked something different. Just here's the better one. John Cena, as Randy Orton is about to, hit another KO, John Cena drops low blow right in front of the referee, gets disqualified, takes the belt, walks off, and goes, "Randy, screw you, no rematch. I'm ruining pro wrestling. Good night, everybody. Peace out," and just walks off. Like, if he's supposed to be the guy who's going to ruin pro wrestling, if you want him to do this, lean into it. Like, all right, I'm going to get disqualified. I don't care. Because, hey, I still keep a belt. You can't force me to rematches. I am John Cena, so damn it, I can do whatever I want. Like, do something different rather than the same. Oh, we got a ref bump. Then another ref bump.
When you can do that, Chris, you can do that in a regular match on like Raw, but throwing a DQ up on a pay-per-view, I don't know, man. I'd like to see a DQ on like Raw or SmackDown, and then work your way into a pay-per-view where it's a no DQ match. Maybe if it
like ended with like after it all, instead of like at the very, very end, it could end in a DQ or something, but get through with the match and the spots and everything they were trying to pull off. But I mean, I was at least sports entertained by it. The match was almost what I kind of expected it to be, where it's like it's like an old band that's reunited. It's kind of like the Oasis reunion that's coming on. Like, that one last tour. They're going to play the hits. They're going to run through them. They might give you something a little bit different, like with the, FU into the RKO. That was fun, but it was what it was. It's pretty much what I expected out of it. Now, for R-Truth, I'm kind of in the middle with you guys. Like, I don't mind him kind of in the mix where it is here, but if he's in a match at Saturday night's main event, where that would kind of be, I mean, it could be fun because R-Truth can still go, but I wouldn't be that excited for it. I am excited for Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. I do think that'll be fun. I think that's a smart, good feud to start with Jey Uso to kind of solidify his run, because it can have a good match against Logan, and most of the crowd hates Logan Paul and most of the crowd loves Jey Uso, so that makes a ton of sense to me, at least.
True. And look, Logan Paul can lose no matter what.
Right.
He'll still have heat. I mean, he is just going to be the ultimate hated guy. So I have no problem with that. I do want to know, like, what's the plan with this going forward? Because you have so many people. It's like, okay, we got to give him a title run. We got to get Drew McIntyre. We got to get Seth Rollins again. We got to eventually get Braun Breaker. Hey, we got to get Damian Priest. And hey, Jacob Fatu. It's like, where do you start?
Yeah, no, that is a very valid point, and that's one of the problems I feel like sometimes with the releases or just with everything. Everybody will say, like, people want, oh, this guy should have that title run, or that. There's only so much room on the card with it, and Triple H seems to want to have title reigns that matter more. It's not like the Attitude Era where there's going to be a title change in January and in March and then April and then in June, that they're trying to get away from any of those short reigns. So I think that's kind of why they're making the US title and even the Intercontinental title more important. I mean, you had two former world champions in the US title fatal 4-way last night. So it does seem like they're trying to make those things more important, because you can't, how many guys can you have in that main event mix? I mean, that's why people are talking about the AEW getting rid of their talent, because a lot of talent's contracts are coming up, but like, where do you put people? Like I was saying last week that, Rusev might have made a lot of sense in TNA, but you were right too about how he's got the name, he's ready to go. It's a good time to put him in, but just where do you fit him in even too? Like, you can't put him into the main event title picture yet, but if he goes against Dominic, he'll probably kill him. So it's just it's a good problem for them to have, but it's definitely an issue.
And we haven't even talked about Pentagon and Rey Fenix and Finn Balor and AJ Styles. And as Kevin said, they have an abundance of riches that, it's embarrassing, but you got to figure out what you're going to do with people, because there's so much young talent now who they're sort of stuck, like we saw with the release of Wolfgang and the Coffee Brothers. Like, okay, they were supposed to come up last year. And then then it was like, no, we can't send you back to NXT, but we can't bring the main roster, and you're just, that's what happens.
The guys that helped Rock, weren't they the guys that went?
Yeah, they helped train the Rock to get back into shape.
Yeah.
And yeah, but this is your thing. Say, yeah, we're going to keep you in purgatory, and then we're going to release you. And
yeah, it's a tough situation in that sense of like, where do you? And that's even like you were talking about, like you mentioned him a couple of times. Of like Karrion Kross, who has clearly gotten himself over well online. People, I mean, he was the third highest selling shirt the last week for WWE. So clearly it's clicking. But like, yeah, where do they kind of fit him in? Where is the right position for him? Or even, I mean, Jeff Cobb, it kind of makes sense of them putting him in almost in like where Bronson Reed kind of was in that scenario. But what happens when Bronson Reed comes back? Or what are they going to do with Hikuleo? He's still around. I'm assuming he's going to come up into this mix now that Jeff Cobb's arrived, but I don't know. There's so much talent that they have. And then all the people coming back, everyone was thinking that Dragunov was going to come back at their Gunther match. That's kind of when you were talking about the Gunther and Pat McAfee match earlier. That's what I at least I thought something, not so much for the match, but like afterwards, I thought Gunther would continue to like beat down on McAfee and do something where someone would come out and either save McAfee, stop Gunther, however you wanted to fix it, and that would either be Dragunov. I actually thought it was going to be Goldberg, honestly, if Goldberg was going to return to have his last match with Gunther, but I don't know. It's an interesting situation. I do think Raw hopefully will answer some questions tomorrow because they've got Saturday night's main event in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that is Money in the Bank. It just keeps coming.
It is, and as you said, you don't know what you're trying to do with everybody because it's almost like, well, we got to get into Cody. We got to do Cena for a while, and then we got to get Cody back in there because that's the plan. And you don't want to just have Jey Uso drop his first pay-per-view challenge, so he has to hold it for a bit. So, look, I get it. It's not a bad problem to have, but it's starting to like affect everybody in the roster because you literally just don't have the time for people. Like you have too many people, not enough time, and nobody's sitting for long periods of time. So it's like, well, what are we gonna do?
And it's crazy to think that they have 5.5 hours of main roster TV each week, and and that's how much talent they have right now, that there's not enough time for everybody. That's kind of mind blowing, especially if you think back to like the history of wrestling where you'd get, Dr. Demento in matches or what was it? The Phantasm, the magician who had that one match with the fire. Like,
it's Phantasmo.
Phantasmo. Thank you. And it was something in that realm, but yeah, there's just, it's a totally different world now. And like I said, good problem to have in the long run for them, but where do they plug in those pieces? It's going to be interesting to see how it kind of folds out.
Chris, how you feeling about the economic situation over at WWE with the ticket prices and everything they've been doing? You think that's maybe they learned a lesson with WrestleMania?
Oh, hell no, they've not. Has the NFL,
that's the best response.
Has the NFL learned a lesson from what, them gouging people with their, Super Bowl tickets? No. Hey, wait a minute. We can have games in Brazil and charge high ticket prices. Oh, let's do this. Wait a minute here. Wait, we can charge people to go to preseason games? Let's do it. Hey, if you can squeeze a buck out of somebody, you're going to squeeze that buck. So until people just go, nope, we're not doing this and not showing up, they're going to keep.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. You paid $5,000. Hey, let's do $6,000. Hey, I need a new jacuzzi. Stockholders need to be happy. We need happiness. So, yes.
People keep paying them. Like, yeah.
I mean, they put those $40,000 seats up for SummerSlam and they were gone instantly.
Right. Yeah, everybody's making fun of it. Like, who's going to buy this? Somebody was paying for it. Somebody's got the money. I would love to, but no. I mean, I live in a town where the Super Bowl comes here every 5 to 7 years, and my parents have season tickets to the Cardinal Stadium, and not the last time, but the time before, they won the raffle and had the chance to buy Super Bowl tickets. And yeah, they paid the regular price, which was still $900 a ticket, and then resold them through a reseller and made their money back because people will pay astronomical amounts. I think they got 3 times the amount per face value or something. People will pay it, so why would they charge it? I mean, that's the world we live in.
Yeah, I guess the thing I don't like is the family thing can't happen much anymore.
Yeah, it's rough.
I agree. Look, it breaks your heart because they're squeezing the little guy out, but it's not to tell you. It's all about money for them, and that's what they're going to do. They are going to get as much money as possible. This is the way businesses are. So hey,
right?
They sold tickets to standing room during Backlash, from what I heard. Like AEW Disc was telling us, like, yeah, rows of people who could stand there. They sold tickets for that because hey, people still want to be there. So supply and demand. People, if there's a supply for it, people demand for it. They'll charge up a wazoo for it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there's a lot of people struggling financially, but there's plenty of people that aren't, and they could do it. I mean, shit, they had those seats like above this entrance stage at WrestleMania, like that. Of all the seats and tickets they've sold recently, that would be a cool experience. That'd be that looked really cool, especially when like Living Color was playing, standing behind them. That would have been sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they probably paid, $10,000 per ticket, or those were family and friends, or Raw's coming to Phoenix in June. I haven't decided if I'm going to go yet, but the tickets aren't super expensive, but they're more than they should be for where the spots are that I've seen.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, but hey, people pay for it. And they'll pay for
That's it. Like,
souvenirs. They'll pay for, like programs and food and the buckets. And look, because it's the experience. Hey, it's good, clean family fun. Disney is Disney right now. So hey, WB is the alternative.
Yeah, no, I went to the first SmackDown of the year that was here, and each time I went to go get like a drink or the bathroom or whatever, there was 2 merch stands that I could see. Those lines were full, literally, like there were still people in them when we were leaving after the show. Like they sold, and like you could tell they'd sold pretty much all the merch they'd brought. People are paying. There's no problem with it. It's just that there does have to be a breaking point at some point, you would think, but I'm wondering when and where that is.
I keep thinking, there's going to be one, but yes, I don't see where it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be coming, but like you said though, till it does, they just keep doing what they got to do. I would agree with that. Chris, you want to touch on what we talked about before you just started? With the death?
Yeah, that was wild today. Me and Kevin were doing the show, and all of a sudden, midway through, as we're going on with the rant about WWE, so I'm looking at my phone like, oh yeah, Sabu just died. Like, oh Jesus! And he's the ultimate what if. Like, what if he had just tempered things down and got into WCW and became a star? What if he was able to get to WWE earlier rather than later? What if he, didn't, have to do like tables,
right,
chairs, like, because he is the inspiration for a lot of guys of, innovation with high flyers, with guys who weren't great on the mic. I remember him and Taz. That was one of the best feuds ever, and they only wrestled once over a year because it was always the tease of, oh, it's going to happen. Hey, they're interacting. Hey, it's going to happen. But it's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
he's like an ECW. Like, was he there from the start, Chris?
Yeah, he was. When he started, they changed everything. He first came out and he was, this like Hannibal Lecter character where they wheeled him to the ring in a straitjacket and a mask. Then it was him and the Tasmaniac. Then they simplified Taz being this tough guy street brawler, and he broke his neck during the ring. I mean, I remember the suplex he took or back body drop from Chris Benoit, and he literally got nerve damage from that, and yet he still wrestled literally like a month later, and you're going, holy crap, this is not normal. I mean,
he never settled down.
Your uncle's the original Sheik and you're trained by him, I don't think anything normal is going to fall into that realm. So that makes it. And wasn't the Hannibal Lecter entrance thing, like, wasn't that from his time in Japan? They brought that back over at least. Yeah, I thought so.
But
it's crazy when you think about all the stuff that he did before ECW, because most of us, at least over here, that's what we know is ECW and forward.
And he never He never typed it down, never brought it down at all.
No.
Always 155,000%.
Even when he wrestled, like, I think he wrestled this year and was still doing stuff
Yeah,
like
with Joey
that. Like,
Janela
He was on AEW.
that's what it was, yeah. Oh, yeah, he did come out for an AEW with Jericho and stuff. I forgot about that. Crazy timing, too, with the Dark Side of the Ring on Tuesday is the Sheik episode that he's obviously going to be a big part of. So that's, I mean, you know, super sad, but at least there is, they've got that most recent interview. I don't know if that is the most recent interview he's done, but probably like the most recent high quality interview he did.
It is sad though, because you look and he should have gotten, he should have been there when they started debuting the the Radicals with Rey Mysterio. Yeah. He should have gotten like his flowers and that chance. And it was always though like, depending on the story, it was either, the lawsuit with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff, or there haven't seen reports that WCW told him, look, do not use tables. We are not doing tables in WCW. And he went, no, that's what my gimmick is. I'm doing this. And that's what got him kicked off at WCW. I mean,
that's the story I have heard.
Yeah. I mean, you hate to say it, but at times he was his own worst enemy.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's one of the most unfortunately, one of the more common threads of professional wrestlers. Unfortunately, but you also have to be a little bit crazy to want to do this for your life. Like, it's not a normal thing to be like, yes, I want to be dropped and thrown onto my back and head and neck and everything, especially the way he did it. But, it's definitely, it's one of the things that's not surprising, really, unfortunately, but it's definitely super sad. We had actually just gotten to brunch for Mother's Day when I saw the news, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom really for just a minute and just take a second. Yeah, it was rough.
Well, what tell me, Jake, what in your opinion, what is Sabu's legacy?
His legacy to me, for me at least, it's 100% tied to like ECW when ECW was at its peak. For me, it's like him, Taz, RVD. Like that's like the triangle that I remember at least the most. I mean, Dreamer was there too and stuff, because for me here in Arizona, especially in the 90s, it was hard to get stuff. I actually had to watch, I watched most of my ECW through the Spanish channel that we have here that would have the English commentary and stuff going, but they just dub Spanish over it louder. So I was trying to listen into it, but he was you said it too. He was the first one to really do a lot of that crazy stuff with chairs and tables and things that we saw, which fed into like what the Hardys would do, or even like Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and all that. So he really did bring that hardcore style, for good or bad, into the mainstream. Which for a lot of it's given us a lot of good stuff, and then you see AEW sometimes, and you're like, oh Jesus, too far, guys.
Those guys, and I'm not being rude about, those are the guys that ruined it, though. So, from an old school point of view, like Cornette would say,
yeah,
those are the guys. God dang, those are the guys that ruined it for them.
Yeah,
and
no, that's
ruined the style. So I get what both people are saying.
Yeah, no, I can see both sides of the argument, like with the Cornette thing where he talks about it, where because we look back on the Attitude Era with so much fondness because we enjoyed it and we loved it, but if you look back, if you look at it as a whole, like there's a lot of stuff in there that was hot-shotted or pushed through, like we were talking about earlier with the title changes going through and a lot of crazy stuff, and that's kind of why you have that. It's also the monopoly of WWE taking everything over, but you have that kind of lull afterwards where the Ruthless Aggression Era was fun for a period, but then it kind of gets into a good decade of really repetitive stuff because they kind of had run out of crap to do. They really kind of played their cards with it, but it also, there's entertainment that comes out of it too, so I can definitely see both sides of it.
Chris, will WWE put up a graphic tomorrow?
Probably. Look, I don't know how much he'll go into it, but yeah, they'll do something because look, he was a guy who he had a lot of fans in WWE. Sami Zayn was pushing for him to get into the Hall of Fame, before he passed away. Like there were a lot of people in WWE who looked at Sabu like he's what got them in. He's what made us like wrestling. So you have to. But it's a shame. you could have made the argument he should have been in the Hall of Fame. Like he could have been put in this year's Hall of Fame or even 2 years ago, because he was a guy who some of the biggest moments in WWE, like the invasion, ECW invasion with Jerry Lawler, Sabu's part of that. It's like you sit there and
he jumped off the Raw letters. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure. And Triple H posted something about it, and I believe WWE, like their official account, posted something. So I would put money on it that they'll start off with the graphic. They might even do like a quick video package at some point, or at least have Cole say something. I would think. I feel like the regime now, they're much better about stuff like that. Cause I mean, there was somebody recently who passed away, wasn't there? They brought up that never would have been brought up under Vince. So it's definitely, which is better for the industry as a whole. Cause even competitive or whatever, or no, it wasn't that. It was when, Sting retired and Michael Cole even mentioned it on the show. Like they're much better about stuff like that. So I would be surprised if there isn't at least a graphic, if not like a quick 2-minute video package or something like that they put together in their time, since that production team is pretty good and quick with that kind of stuff.
So that means AEW does something on Wednesday also, probably.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And TNA will do something.
Yeah.
We've all known TNA.
They should, yeah.
Because he was in TNA. We forget that. Like, holy crap.
I had completely forgot about that till you said it, my friend. 100%. I'm like, oh shit, he did, didn't he? Yeah, no, that was, like I said, not surprising, but definitely sad. Oh God, you just got me thinking about AEW. Isn't,
well, I'm heading that way now. That's why I brought it up.
Perfect. No, I keep thinking, isn't this again the Zach Gallen matches this week?
Oh.
Yeah.
Chris,
right.
are you watching weekly, Chris?
AEW? No. I'd rather do anything else, but I'm sorry. I used to like AEW.
You tried though, right?
I did. Look, when Cody Rhodes was first doing it, I liked AEW. And even when they had CM Punk, I liked it. Then it was just, you just look at that play. It's a clown show. There is no leadership. There is no, nobody says anything. It's run by a kid who this is his passion project. It's basically WoW. It's, hey, Jeannie Buss likes to get into pro wrestling because of things. So she bought WoW and she gets to do that. That's what Tony is doing with AEW. But he's literally putting wrestlers in charge. And, oh, wait a minute. It's not run well. Gee, I couldn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, you don't hate yourself enough to watch it weekly anymore.
No.
I feel, I catch highlights now. I'll watch certain things and watch different clips of stuff, but it's just impossible to watch on a weekly basis because it's just, it doesn't make any sense. Everything's the same. Everything just, yeah. It's sad because they've got good people there. They have the right ingredients, but their chef is a complete, goof.
Their chef is a goof. The Young Bucks are in charge. Moxley is, Moxley should not be the world champion at this gimmick. I still have no idea, okay, why did you take over? What was the reason behind that? There is no story. It's just basically, yes, we're doing this. What's the plan? Screw the plan. We really don't need a plan.
Screw the plan. We're just gonna put the title in a briefcase and yell blabbering promos that go nowhere on every single show, and it'll be great. Yeah, it's impossible for me. And they're gonna bring in Zach Gallen. Okay, why?
Hey, get ready, Bo. You know who's coming to AEW soon.
Oh,
I'm putting money on it.
Uh-oh.
The Good Brothers are gonna come. Yes.
Well, didn't they they just signed with NJPW? I thought so. I mean, if that partnership's still there, you're absolutely right. Great.
Oh, that'll be some riveting television.
Wait, what did they call them? Like the Super Elite or something? They were all together.
Super Elite.
Oh.
Probably even the Super Elite. Think of it. That might be on an all-out pay-per-view. Hey, it's gonna be the Super Elite versus the BCC. At some point, if you're Tony Khan, when do you take control of a company? Go, no, we're not signing more people. No, we're not bringing in all friends of the Bucks and every WWE reject. Like, no,
I think he
Dad is not letting me spend $800 million on talent. No, Mercedes, we can't bring in all your people.
I feel like he's so excited and wants to for it, but I think you hit it on the head. There seems to be some sort of like, maybe not like a complete stop, but they're like cinching the money hose a bit on Tony. Like, okay, you've spent a lot, you're not making anything, and then what happens if WBD does get bought out or piecemealed out or whatever with some of those stories that keeps getting told? Like, it is going downhill fast. Like, their Cup Double or Nothing's here on the 25th in May, and I just have zero desire to go, although it's like 40 minutes away from where I live, but because it's in Glendale, not Phoenix, because they got kicked out of Vegas and came to Glendale. That's a good trade. Oof. And the promotion here is weak. Like, I've seen the same commercial runs through YouTube, and then I've seen like flyers at bars and a record store that I went to last week. That's it. And just like 8x10 flyers on the door. That's their promotion for Double or Nothing here in Phoenix.
Sounds like a plan to win.
Yeah. I've entered a couple of contests. If I can get free tickets, I'll go, but I have zero desire to pay to go sit there for 5 hours in a smelly arena. Hard pass.
Chris, did you start, I'm going to go back in time a little bit here. Did you start watching WWF when you were a kid then? You East Coast boy?
Oh, yeah. I remember, because I was old enough to remember, like, Junkyard Dog, Billy Jim, like.
So you're in that group. You're in that group of 40-year-olds plus.
Oh yes, so it was like as I said, I remember as a kid, like all of a sudden it changed. We're like, okay, watching Savage and Hogan, and then I remember the pay-per-view where Elizabeth, pulls down her skirt and she shows it's like, wait a minute here, what the hell's going on? This is not. It was just like that was the awkward moment where like, what? Wait a minute here, hold on. Because I grew up in a very conservative family. It's like, oh yeah, this is just. It's wrestling. It's cheesy. We know it. And then that happens. Like as a little kid, you're like, wait a minute here. What the hell's going on? Why are they doing this? This is awkward. I don't know why it's awkward, but it's awkward.
Right.
You had lust in your eyes for Elizabeth.
It wasn't lust. It was just like, wait a minute here. It's something I'm not supposed to see. I don't know why, but I'm still not supposed to see. And when people tease, you're like, hey, I heard Elizabeth here. There's a site there. I'm like, uh-oh. Shouldn't say anything here. This sounds embarrassing. I don't like
Yeah, they were trying to do something a little different at the time.
That was Vince like dabbling into like the Attitude Era, but he really didn't want to go all far, so I was like, I'll dip my little pinky toe in. I'll see how it is.
Well, with Vince,
right. I don't like it.
He never pulled the trigger until he had to. That's even like with the Attitude Era. Like it worked, but it worked because they had the Rock and Austin at the right time, because he should have pulled that trigger at least a year before, if not even before that. Like you see with like when was it Diesel and Shawn when they had their match at Mania, like it should have been done pretty much then, but that was Vince. He was very, very reactionary with a lot of that stuff. Like we're not changing the plans, so we have to.
It worked because Vince McMahon was the best heel in wrestling.
This is true.
Unfortunately, whatever you want to say, I can't find a better heel than Mr. McMahon character.
No, especially then with where the world was too. How anti-authority the 90s had gotten and all that, it really was perfect. What's funny about that is that he thought he was going to be a babyface. He legitimately thought people were going to back the billionaire and like cheer for the boss and not Brett, and not think that, we were going to think that Brett screwed Brett and then not going to, that was, I'm glad he figured it out quickly, but it's kind of like Logan Paul. He'd come in initially and want to be a babyface when he was initially doing stuff, thought he would like get over as a babyface to the wrestling audience. I'm glad he's embraced his heel self, because I'm not sure there's anybody more hateable in WWE right now than him.
Chris, who was your favorite guy then? When you were growing up as a youngster, who was your big guy? A Hulkster or somebody else?
No, I was a Junkyard Dog fan.
There you go.
Nice.
Hulk was like, okay, this is. But I grew up on because even in like with sports, I was never the guy. Oh yeah, I like this guy because he's the best guy here. I grew up on like if I was a Red Sox fan, so it was Marty Barrett was my favorite player. If I was if I followed the Bruins, it was like Craig Janey was my favorite player. Like I resonated with the guys who are the underdogs. So for WB, it was like Junkyard Dog. It was Tito Santana. Those are the guys. Like, hey, I can relate to them. I can't relate to Hulk Hogan. He's just
Right.
Yeah, he's
no,
a
that
huge
makes
guy.
sense.
I'm not a huge guy, so
No,
And these were the guys. These were all the guys that after they got to WWF, they were kind of at the end of their careers. Because Junkyard Dog was a little bit out of shape at the time. Not going to say anything bad.
just a smidge.
hey, I'm giving you a warning here. If you ever compare Jey Uso to Junkyard Dog, which I have, do not say that to Awful Wrestling in Marv. They will literally go, "We will ban you.
We will
You'll never
ban
come back
you.
on the show." It was almost, and I love those guys, but it was like, how dare you? You might as well just say that like comic books are stupid, that pro wrestling is fake. How dare you compare Jey Uso to Junkyard Dog? That is you were declaring war, sir. You're declaring war here.
This is our Pearl Harbor. Hey, people are passionate. Plus, I feel like if there is a comparison to back, it's the Ultimate Warrior. Because what people say is it's all like, he's all the entrance. That's the big thing. I mean, that was who Ultimate Warrior was. He came by the time Ultimate Warrior got to the ring, he was completely blown up. So, but I mean, I'm not big on comparing a lot of that anyway. It's like people are, comparison's the thief of joy. So I just try to look at things what they are. But I feel like the apt comparison would be Warrior more than Junkyard Dog.
No, because Warrior couldn't work a match. It was just everybody. He destroyed everybody, and that was it. And, Jey Uso and Junkyard Dog, they were it was an audience that wasn't usually the audience we wanted. They resonated to people that were all over. And yes, they were not the technical wrestlers, but they knew how to work matches. They knew how to make people care. And you would have people, little kids who, black, white, Latino, they'd go in there. Yes, we want to do the thump. Yes, we want to do the dance. That's Jey Uso.
No, Jey Uso's he's so over with the kids. When I went to SmackDown in January, that was the first thing I noticed before I got to my seat was that every person that I saw, male or female, and anybody who was like under the age of 13 had at least one piece of Jey Uso merch, if not all of it. Yeah, with the t-shirt, the wristbands, the glasses, the hat, like he's connected with the fans. I was, cause I'll be 43 next month. So I was kind of on that, like, Jey Uso's not really for me. I get it kind of seeing it live and experiencing how over he really is with that many people live. It's like, okay, I get it. And then within a month, he won the Royal Rumble. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense to me now. It's just, yeah. And Junkyard Dog had that kind of ability too, though, of just connecting with everybody.
If you actually think about it, when Junkyard Dog got to WWF, that's nearly obviously it's the end of his career. Yeah. What he did in New Orleans and Houston and stuff, like especially New Orleans, is amazing. When you see a string of sellouts that guy had down there, it's amazing.
Well, if you see like how little he had to do to get the crowd, we talked about it on our show earlier of how talking about with Cena and Orton getting the most out of the least with it. Like, yeah, he would just hit a pose or do certain moves. The entire place would just explode. Like he literally had New Orleans in the palm of his hand in that time in Mid-South. And that's why when he left Mid-South really never recovered, did they? I mean, they tried and then, I don't think they did. I mean, that's how important he was.
You can't teach charisma.
You can't.
I mean, and I know that, because I remember I talked with this with people when I cover fighting. Like, if they could, people would take Conor McGregor, clone him, and just put him in there. And yet you can't be, he, like him, Deontay Wilder, I'd even argue Floyd Mayweather, love him or hate him, they know exactly, like, hey, you got to pay attention to us. You might not like us, you might hate us, you might love us, we don't care, but you will pay attention. And that's what Junkyard Dog and now Jey Uso have. Like, they are charismatic. You are, drawn to them because they're basically, they have this real, personality, enthusiasm, character that you look and go, ooh, he's fun to be around.
Yeah. Hey,
I gotta watch this guy. Hey, I care about him for whatever, one way or the other. And yes, I get it. He's not allowed to put people's cup of tea. If you're over at say 35 and you're more traditional wrestling fan, you're looking at Jey Uso going, oh my God, this guy can't work. Oh my God, he's goofy as hell. Oh my God, Yeet is stupid. As Marvin's told me, Yeet is stupid. I'm not yeeting, but to the social media /urban/kids, Yeet is the best thing to come out since the iPod.
it is connecting. No, it's funny when you say that because for me, like I said, I saw him live. It was like January 3rd was that SmackDown, and I started to get it. And then what really sold me on Jay was the interview he did with where they had it was after the first Raw on Netflix, where he was at the table with Joe Tessitore and whoever else, and they were like laughing about Travis Scott lighting up the blunt, and he was just, the way he was just so, again, charismatic and making everybody laugh and just being fun. Like, it's just somebody you would like want to hang out with. He's just, you can't teach charisma. And the other way, like there's some people that just don't have it. Ava, NXT. Some people, no matter how much they try to put into her, she is like stoic and, it's like talking to a tree. Some people have it and some people don't.
Well, not even Ava. Like, Finn Balor doesn't have it. And look, Finn Balor is as intelligent as they come. He is a fantastic worker. He knows everything. But Finn Balor is a lot like Carl Frampton. You'll sit down, you'll do an interview, and he is as intelligent as they come. You'll be wowed. He can carry a story. He's not a big personality. And yet, Seth Rollins is a big personality. Seth Rollins understands, like, hey, I can sell anything. You might, once again, you might like me, you might not, but hey, he gets people just singing his song and chanting his slogans. Why? He's a big personality. And look, you can't teach it. I don't even know if you can really develop it. It's just either you have it or you don't. And
I mean, that's why they had Seth
Rollins.
Rollins.
Not everybody has it, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Seth Rollins is that's why Seth Rollins was at the NFL draft. He did like that thing where he hosted the Rich Eisen show with him like last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that. Like, yeah, not everybody can just be plugged into those things and just go and do that and do it well. Yeah, not everybody's got that in them. And I really, like, if somebody's got the rough skills of it, you can probably like harvest that out of somebody and help develop it, but you can't just like do the, I Dream of Jeannie head bob and boom, you have charisma now.
Sorry, I was having a choking attack. I apologize.
Oh, good. It's allergy season.
No worries.
I've had to do it a couple of times and then sneeze in people's ears. Yeah, no, it's hardcore allergy season for me here in Phoenix.
So what were you guys talking about? I just popped back in.
Just still the charisma.
We're talking about the charisma, and but that Jey Uso has it, that Seth Rollins has it, but Finn Balor doesn't have it. And I love your thoughts on this, George. Like, how many wrestlers do you see that you like, and you just go, God, there is that charisma, that personality. They can do the moves, they can do everything, but just you will look at them and go, all right, it's nice.
Priest?
Yeah,
Damian Priest.
George was just saying that about how, Damian Priest hasn't connected with him. And I get that too, because Priest, there's some people that connect with him for sure. I've seen a lot of people that really like him, but there's just that overall with everybody. And that's why I feel like we would hopefully a change or something to his character could do that. But what can they do?
Damian Priest, I think, got screwed because his title run was god awful.
Yep.
And if that was booking, it's like, oh, wait a minute here. He wins because, Judgment Day gets involved. Or he gets in because, slipped a banana peel by Drew McIntyre. There's CM Punk. It almost felt like, every time an ending of a Damian Priest title was going to happen, the match, you get the Benny Hill song where there's more Dusty Rhodes finish and you can stick a stick at. Like, that does not help a guy where it's like, he's the champion. We're going to take him seriously, but he gets lucky because, everybody's getting involved and he just hapstance then retains by just everybody literally getting involved in shenanigans.
Yeah, you don't want the best moment of the title reign to be the title win. That's never a good. I mean, he lasted a while.
Chris, we spent about 15 minutes on our show trying to figure out what to do with him. What do you think they can do with him, Priest? I mean, literally, we spent about
We
15
did.
minutes.
Yeah, we were lost.
Out.
We didn't come up with a good answer. We came up with, well, maybe they could, but we didn't. Yeah, we didn't brainstorm too hot on that one.
See, I don't know because
That's it.
And I like Damian Priest. It's just
right.
Well, before Damian Priest, like, what do you do with Jacob Fatu? What do you do with Drew McIntyre? What do you do with Braun Breaker? Like, what are you doing with other people? And the same thing. Like, what are you doing with them? I don't know. Like,
yeah, but the three you just mentioned, they all physically were able to, like, because of how their careers work. Drew with his online stuff, Jacob Fatu and Breaker are just so physically good at this, and they're just so captivating that whatever they put them in, they would have gotten over. And Priest just doesn't have that in him. He's good, but what can give him that shine?
Look, I will pound the table on this. For what he did with Bad Bunny,
yes,
that alone should give him a Hall of Fame, because he literally just, and I know Bad Bunny is fantastic, probably the best, in terms of part-timer, but Damian Priest got a great match out of him and didn't hurt him. And you probably could imagine the pressure, like, don't hurt Bad Bunny. We will sue and fire you. We will have you arrested if you goddamn if you injure his vocal cords. We will bring you up and just beat you stupid little man.
We will leave
Do
you
not
in Puerto
hurt
Rico.
the money. Like, I can see Hollywood people like, all right, we're going to have him arrested. I don't know what, we'll just figure something out if he hurts Bad Bunny. And yet, it's just too much has happened. I think that it hurts. Like, like R-Truth getting involved in Judgment Day. I hated that. Then, he had to have that, long drawn out feud with Finn Balor. That was not a help. And then, as soon as they're ready, they put the title on Gunther, and Damian Priest sort of like just gets sort of left by the wayside. It's
that's not getting any favors.
For me, I'd rather push Damian Priest than Gunther. I am not a Gunther fan. Gunther to me is Dan Severn 2.0.
Wow,
that's a hot. He's boring. He's eggs and toast. He is okay, yep, but he doesn't want to do anything fun. King of a Ring, yep. Oh yeah, I want a King of a Ring. All right, yeah. I'm not putting on that crown. F that crown. That's stupid. I'm not putting on the cape. F that. That's stupid. Like, he is just way too serious for me. And if you're going to be in WWE, there's going to be a part where it's like, okay, look, this is fun. This is, this is not going to be totally serious. You have to have some personality. I don't see that from Gunther. Everything is just too serious, too, like, the heel that never, backs down, but he has some, like, honor, like, oh no, it's Dan Severn meets Steve Blackman meets Lance Storm.
Oh wow!
You'd think, being an old school WWF guy, you would like a heel like that.
No, because the best heels usually had like personality. Like even Brock Lesnar had some personality. There is none with Gunther. Think of it; he's just very dry.
No, I get it.
Like Booker T was my favorite heel in WWE for a long time. Why? Because you could do anything. Like, he literally was the greatest king of a ring when you think of it. King Booker was legendary because, like, I'm going to lean into this here. I am now the king of all Europe. I am the king of the world. Hey, I am going to have even the pinky up here, even though I'm not British.
Sharmell sold that. No, that was
for
all the King of the Ring reigns, like a lot of other guys, they did great, like with Austin doing the Austin 316 with the King of the Ring and all that. Like, there were great moments, but if an actual, like, being the King of the Ring, like, nobody did that better than Booker. Nobody.
Not to correct you, but it was King Booker.
That is true. Booker.
My apologies, George. King Booker.
Yeah. It was never King Booker ever.
That's great. No, I mean, the thing with Gunther, I enjoy his matches and I get who he is with it, but there's certain people that like say like, oh, he's my favorite thing, and I don't really get that because there's not a lot of flash and pizzazz to him, but I also think that works for him in his character where he is, but that's what I'm wondering what they kind of do with him now moving beyond this, of where it goes with his story. I mean, that's what I was thinking. That's why I thought he was going to I thought Goldberg would come out and save McAfee at the end. that was what I thought was going to happen and set up their match for SummerSlam or whatever they do. I don't know if they're going to. I don't know if there is a July pay-per-view this year.
Wait a minute here. You have the next one is going to be Money in the Bank, and then
that's June 7th, I think, and then I know SummerSlam's at the end of August, so there's got to be something in between there. I usually thought that Money in the Bank was in July, so
Oh, wait,
we'll be watching.
No, you do. Let's see. Then you have Night of Champions.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did just announce that. That's the first Saudi show they've announced. It was like June 28th or something like that.
Well, that'd be a nice 1:00 in the afternoon thing.
Right? Yeah, June 28th. That's Saturday. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, because they announced a couple of matches for Saturday night's main event, and then they announced that because up until then there hadn't been a Saudi show on the schedule this year, and we knew there would be because they had to get their $50 million. So can't blame them there.
So yeah, I can see now that Gunther will come back for Money in the Bank. He'll make a debut. Goldberg, and then we'll be getting this in
Saudi, you think?
Yeah, we'll get in Saudi. Hey, those Saudis
Goldberg's huge. Yeah, good point.
That is true. That is a very valid point. From what I remember, I feel like Goldberg did say that he wanted to have his last match in the States, but I bet they'll probably try to get two out of him for it, so that would make sense. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Triple H is smart enough to know that you're not trying to book Goldberg in a 25-minute banger. Like 10 minutes or less, we're fine.
10.
Play the hits. I'm including entrances, George. Sorry, okay, my bad. I should have said that. You're right. Whatever match time, 10 minutes, including entrances. Get through it. Play the hits. If it's Gunther, I guess you have Gunther go over the second time. I don't know, but. Yeah, I'm not that excited for Goldberg to come back and retire. I was a Goldberg fan when I was a kid. I mean, as a Jewish kid, it was nice to see one of our own doing well, but didn't really, Then he came back to WWE and woof.
I one of the best entrances in wrestling, I think.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. I will agree to that till the day I go away. Yes, that is.
And the initial book, we all know that they padded the stats with 173-0, but that worked, especially like when he beat Hogan for the title, and that first 6 to 8 months of his run was awesome. I mean, that was can't miss television. Granted, it only took like 8 minutes of your time each Monday, but it was awesome.
I always wondered on this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
I was quickly going to say, but that was Mike Tyson, though. That was that aura. Like, hey,
yes.
If you watch Mike Tyson fight, it ain't got to be a full 12 rounds. He's going in there and destroy people, and that's it. It's got to be quick. It'll be devastating, and you can't miss it. That was Goldberg, the way he was built.
Yeah, no, with Mike, it was be in your seat when the bell rings, because we could be over in 90 seconds or less.
Yeah, one of his fights went 32 seconds, right?
Right, against
was
it the tomato? I know there was one of those tomato cans when he first came out of prison, because that's what the Simpsons episode kind of jokes on.
I still remember that fight. It was.
I could visualize his face, but I couldn't think of his name. Yeah,
you sat down 5 seconds late. You missed it.
I remember I got $200 off my father. It's like, hey, if it's gonna go 2 rounds, I'm like, really? And I was still like 18, 19. I'm like, Dad, no, they brought him in here to do one thing: go down quickly. No, you are crazy. Dad, he's not going to last maybe 2 minutes. And it was literally like, it was 1 minute 29, just.
Wow.
Yeah, no, you are here for that face to get at least one good punch from Mike. That is what we're paying you for. Yeah, no, that makes sense though. It does track into where Goldberg's aura was. Like, that's what he was. He, no frills, wore all black, came out and kicked people's ass.
Do you ever wonder what kind of stuff he was breathing in when those sparklers were going off? Because that smoke that came out of his mouth was always from the smoke that was being protruded out from the sparkler or whatever things they were.
Sulfur? Or I don't know.
That can't be good for you.
No,
you get it every entrance.
No. Yeah, and especially back then, it was like it's like they were making things any organic ways with that. That wasn't like that was I wonder if like each time that was like the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes or something.
Because what they do, there was a Buffalo show that they did Nitro at that I was at, and what you would see is you would just hear the music going first, like doom, 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 and then they show the back and they show his dressing room, and you see an imprint go, ooh, which means he already hit his head
Right.
against the door, so he was already bleeding by the time he came out. Every entrance, awesome.
Yeah, when they come out with the security team, yeah, no, it built and got better. Like as great as the NWO storyline was and changed wrestling and all of that, like the best thing of the Nitro era was Goldberg's initial run, for me at least. That was, and you could say the crowd was so hot and entertaining. I mean, it peaks with when he beats Hogan for the title, but I mean, they had 40,000 people in the Georgia Dome screaming their heads off, so it worked. Still probably should have had that on pay-per-view, but hey, whatever.
But it's still, you missed it now because that's the problem with almost Raw and SmackDown. Like, there's nothing, if you watch, it's like, all right, if I miss it, well, all right, well, I didn't miss anything. It's just a preview of what's going to come for the pay-per-views. And, I missed that where it's like, yeah, when, even back in the 90s, 2000s, Raw was must-see. I mean, you'd have title changes. You'd have, like, debuts, and now it feels like they're holding it on for either the big Monday Night Raws in terms of debuts, or they're holding on to title changes for the PLEs. Like, all right, well, what about the Raws? What about the people who actually are tuning into these shows to see something?
Well, but even when they have those moments too, like thinking like when CM Punk came back to join the Bloodline for the War Games and stuff, like whenever they do that stuff, like it's immediately you're able to catch it on Twitter or YouTube or wherever, as where back then, if you didn't catch it live, it wasn't like or you had it on a VHS tape because you were recording one of the shows or whatever. You had no way of catching it again. It wasn't like there was a replay or an easy way to watch it. So it was appointment television.
With Nitro, you mean?
With Nitro or Raw, anything back.
Oh, Nitro ran back to back, if you remember.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
I did. No, especially for me on the West Coast. That's usually what I would do. That's how I watched it back in the day. I would watch Raw live and I'd watch the Nitro replay live. That was, cause even then it was still only going to be like 11:30 back here in Phoenix.
Well, Chris, we have reached the end of our time limit.
Oh shit. I didn't realize we'd gone that long. Damn.
Yeah, we went pretty fast.
That's usually how it goes though. We just have a conversation. Just like people hanging out, having a drink, having a conversation. That's what I like about our spaces. We're not trying
Chris, 100% appreciate you coming on. You want to tell the people where they can find you, sir?
Sure. You can check me out at thelastcallpodcast.com. This week we're going to be having John Vogel will be talking about the NFL draft, what happens, what went down with certain teams, why Shedeur Sanders fell, why other players, fell, and what exactly like scouts are looking for. We also will be having my guy Parker Blake, who breaks down the Cincinnati Bengals draft. We're doing a lot of NFL draft talking about recaps and previews. You can also check me on. I'm on Twitter. It's x.com/lastcall Chris C. I'm on Facebook, which is last.call.520. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn, and thank you guys for having me. I love being on this. We're gonna do this again one of these days.
Hell yeah, man.
If you need a Buffalo Bills expert, give me a call.
We're actually working on that. It's funny you say that. We're working on. I can't confirm it yet, but Tyler Dunn, who is with the Bills, GoLongTD.com. We're in negotiations. It's like, all right, well, we're gonna do it, but I gotta figure out the schedule. Yes, we're in negotiations. Until it happens, I can't say it's happening, but it's now like, all right, he wants to do it. I want to do it. We're trying to figure out the time, and yes, I'm interested in his stories of Billy Beane going off on sports where I was going, hey, screw you guys. Xavier Worthy trade was worth for us. Hey, we're fine with our wide receivers. Go F yourselves.
Nice. All right.
Awesome.
Remember, folks, AltJake Takes On YouTube.
Yeah, please. Yeah, youtube.com/@AltJakeTakesOn. We're on the march to 500. We got some special things planned once we hit 500 subscribers.
Oh, stay tuned for our next episode when I'll let us know who the next guest will be next week, because I don't know.
Yeah,
yet.
and we just dropped our Backlash review like right before we went off live. So if you want to hear more content from us, go to our YouTube page and watch our Backlash review. We got a good 40 minutes on that. So thanks,
right,
everybody.
folks.
It's a good time.
Peace.
Have a good one, everybody. Peace.